Hello everyone and welcome back to another Fam 2 Cents cooking video, and today we are making some fried tilapia and shrimp. I had recorded a video of me making some catfish, but that didn't quite work out. Unfortunately, the video was really messed up, so here we are doing this one. Don't worry, we will revisit the catfish. The ingredients were really simple. I was at the store and I happened to see a kind of coating for fish that was already pre-seasoned, and I kind of wanted to give it a shot and see how it was. So I used that coating, and I also put just a little bit of pepper and cayenne in there for a little bit of kick, outside of any other seasonings that were in there. I honestly don't know what was in it because I didn't look or read the package, but I just kind of wanted to see how it held up. So usually in this instance I would use cornmeal mixed with flour, and then I would put my own seasonings in there, and those seasonings could range from a whole bunch of different things. But today we used a already pre-made seasoned coating. We still added flour, a little bit of pepper and cayenne pepper to add a little bit of kick, but otherwise it's pre-set up. I will put the name of the product that I used in the description so you guys can check that out, decide if you want to use it. I got it from Save-A-Lot. As far as I'm concerned, I think that's the only place you can get this particular brand. If you turn your nose up at Save-A-Lot, I don't know what to tell you, but that's where I got it from, so that's where you're gonna have to get it from. Or maybe you can find an equivalent at the store that you shop at. So as you can see now, I'm mixing up all the dry ingredients and making sure that the cayenne and the pepper is distributed, that the flour gets in there really good. Now the reason that I do cornmeal and flour is because sometimes the cornmeal isn't enough to coat it completely. It'll leave these little kind of open pockets. The flour kind of fills in any spots that the cornmeal can't get, because the cornmeal is not as fine as the flour. So that is the reasoning behind that. Now this tilapia was frozen, and so was the shrimp. And instead of using a binding agent, I didn't pat them dry. I left them kind of wet, like a little moist, because that will serve as its own binding agent, because I have a little technique that I use to bind fish and shrimp when they're still wet without you needing to use any eggs or anything. And as you can see, I hit them with a little bit of Old Bay seasoning, and that's it on the shrimp itself, because like I said, the flour and the cornmeal are already pre-seasoned. Just get a little bit of that Old Bay on there. It helps with any seafood dish, makes it taste just a little bit better. So what you guys see is I'm tossing the fish into the mixture and putting it onto a separate tray, and what I do is I allow that to sit for an extended period of time, upwards of 5 to 10 minutes, to allow that to kind of soak into it, or the moisture will like soak into the breadcrumbs or whatever that you put on there, the cornmeal mixture, and it'll kind of create almost a batter-like substance on the outside. And after it sits for a while, after it sits and you see that the moisture starts coming up into the flour and cornmeal mixture, you start to see that moisten up a bit. You're gonna toss it in there again right before you fry them. Now what this does is it adds that initial layer. All that moisture is getting pulled up into the initial flour mix and kind of binding itself to the fish. And then the second toss is to just kind of, you know, make sure that all your bases are covered, giving it that extra kind of push that it needs to make sure that it is well coated. And this works perfectly. You don't need eggs, you don't need mustard or whatever other binding agent that people use. You don't need any of that if you use this method, because this just makes things a lot more easier for you and requires you to use a lot less resources in order to make the stuff that you want to make. Now, as you can see right now, I am doing the garlic infused rice. It's just rice with some chicken broth that I'm boiling it with, as opposed to just regular water. And I'm using garlic salt to infuse the rice, and it's gonna boil in this mixture of chicken broth and garlic salt. And it gives the rice a really good flavor instead of just plain white rice, because to be honest, I don't know, I don't like plain white rice anymore. Obviously you bring this to a boil for about 5 minutes. In that time I took the time to peel the shrimp and take the tails off, and after you bring that to a boil, you cover that up Now we're going to do the shrimp the same way. Hit that with the Old Bay, and that's it. You don't need to put anything else on the shrimp, just a little bit of Old Bay. Give that a toss. Toss that into the flour, and same deal. Allow the moisture to be pulled from the shrimp into your coating for a little while, and right before you get ready to fry it, toss it back into the coating to fill in any gaps that you may have missed. And this gives you a nice, perfect, thin coating. The chicken, Jesus Christ. Don't make any jokes about that. But the fish and the shrimp will be really crispy, but it'll be a more thinner coating as opposed to, I don't know, if you used eggs or something like that, you'd probably get a thicker kind of crust or whatever on there. But I prefer it this way. I like it. It's very flavorful, and it's not too heavy. Like I said, the initial coating, allow that moisture to kind of pull out of the shrimp or your fish into the mixture, and then right before you get ready to fry it, toss it back in. Now, if it really hasn't hit home yet as to why I decided to use this method, pay very close attention to the fish that I'm dropping into the grease right now. As you can see, none of the coating on it is dissipating into the oil. Like, none of it kind of, like went off of the fish and went into the oil. It's sticking to there, and that's exactly what you want. You want it to stick. You want the coating to be nice and thin, but it'll also come out really crispy, which is really nice, and not as heavy as if you were to use, like, eggs or anything like that. It's really good. I actually prefer doing things this way, and I'm starting to do my chicken this way too, eliminating the egg wash altogether, just because I don't know, it just, for whatever reason, it just tastes better to me. This is the type of consistency you have to look forward to, though, if you do it this way. Nice and thin, even, really crispy, but you still get that really tenderness of the fish on the inside. That's how I'm starting to prefer eating my fried foods. I don't know, it just seems better for me. In regards to the shrimp off camera, obviously I took the tails off. I showed you guys the remnants of that from before. The shrimp that I bought was already cooked. So you don't have to cook this really long. So basically what I did with the shrimp is I turned the heat up really high, and I just put that in there and allowed it to brown because the shrimp's already pretty much cooked. So all you need to do is allow the crust or whatever on the outside to brown, which means you can cook it very rapidly and then just go ahead and take that out. You don't have to worry about the shrimp being overcooked that way, because you don't want to overcook your shrimp and have it all super chewy and stuff. That is not the desired effect. If you do not use already pre-cooked shrimp, you may have to cook it a little bit longer on a lower heat, but that's not the case here. And this is the final product, guys. It was amazing. It tasted very good. Squishy was extremely happy, and so was I. You should definitely give this a shot. Last thing before we go, guys, the channel has been doing really good. We are up to 350 subscribers, so be sure to click that subscribe button and that bell notification to make sure you are notified for any videos coming out in the future. Thank you guys for watching again. I'll see you on the next one.